So you're,
Fucking intense energies.
yeah, I love it. Okay, this is gonna be a great show. Let's give them a couple of minutes.
It
Um,
will. I can feel it building all day.
yeah, yeah. There's something about like getting back into doing the shows. And okay, what do you do? Do you go through the 500 messages and emails that people want to come on? Do you float around and find something in synchronicity? Or all of the above kind of thing. And so I
No,
actually, I think you know this now. I don't know if you know this. It was about two,
no,
three.
because
Yeah, I
I
had
wanted to
sent.
catch up, but
Yeah, I had been trying to get in touch with you, and then I found, I play a remix sometimes where I'll just play excerpts from old shows and music. And I found one of you that you and I did, and you were talking about some really good stuff for like 15 minutes. So I just played it, and then a lady wrote me and said, "You need to get Ramona on." I said, "I've tried. I can't get in touch with her. How do I get in touch with her?" And then she sent me the email, so that was cool. But yeah, it's good to see you. And although we haven't talked in 4 years, I have, through my work, I try to touch as many different platforms, see what people are doing, and I, come across you from time to time. I think one of the things that's really impressive to me, like in looking at the mirrors that we coexist with and have this experience with, is watching people transform very openly, and that's one of the things that I really respect about you because you really hold your what would you say dignity, your integrity, and you're very open, and your heart's very open, and your words are very open, and you don't hide a lot of things. So, yeah, I just want to give you props for that. Say it's good to see you. Thank you for coming in and sharing space
thank
with
you.
us, and honoring us with your presence on Soul Speaks 5D. Ramona Lappin's in the house. It's going
And
to be.
beyond, way beyond. We're going way beyond. Brother, and I always have seen you as a brother, and I appreciate the same things about you.
Thank you.
And you are just, you know what I mean,
Yeah, thank you.
beyond words.
God, and just think of who we were 4 years ago.
A fractal of what we are now.
But the level of humility, the lessons that we've learned.
Mm.
Yeah. Now you
Oh,
very.
we're already live.
Oh yeah, yeah, we're live. We got 90.
Oh, okay.
There's 95
You
people
should
in the
have told
house.
me.
Yeah, I
I,
thought I did
I
twice.
thought we were still, no, I thought we were still just chatting about.
Well, that's what makes the show. It's just like a conversation. You forgot you were on a show. That's what I try to make
Oh,
it
yeah.
anyway. Um,
And ultimately, it shouldn't be any different.
you have gone about your business and quietly built like a platform. I guess these words won't do anything any justice, but a lot of people resonate with what you're doing. And whenever I pop in and see what you're doing, it's never really one thing. You seem to have like your several different streams going. But do you have like a basis for what you do? I mean, like do you follow a certain like channeling or knowing that you've always had that's specific, or is it more of just more of a broad base kind of thing?
I think my thing from the beginning on was very much in knowing that whatever I was doing in healing would be affecting everyone. And which is true for all of us. As we know, we are connected to all these star races and tribes, as we call it. And, which is reflected in our genetic lines and our ancestral lines and the soul groups and so forth we're connected to. And I think, I mean, from I think like I woke up like which was a sudden kind of awakening through Reiki session. My first Reiki session I had in 2011 January, so we're having kind of a I think a 12-year anniversary at the moment. Anyway, and that opened me up straight away. And afterwards, I think about a couple of years after I started doing Reiki myself, and from there on, then obviously looked on the internet, and I never really subscribed to any one teaching. I always kind of took what resonated and left the rest. Although there obviously were, kind of guides or teachers out there that I followed more than others,
Right,
and
right.
that I was more connected to. But I mean, one of the biggest changes, I think, and that's also what we can talk about, is that about roughly 4 years ago, I figured out that not everything was just love and light, and not everybody out there meant our biggest good, so to say.
Yeah,
And
this will
that,
be good to talk about. Yeah.
yeah, because it's in the field and we're clearing all of this shit, all the false light kind of crap. And I mean, when we say false light, it's many
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
I see it really as a reflection of our own false self projected out ultimately, where we are giving our power away to guides, leaders, gurus, whatever you want to call it. It can be starlets, it can be your own parents, it can be a brother, a sister, your own child, partner, anything, anyone, a thing, you know. So we all have given our power away over many, many different lifetimes. And I just started to see that people are not what they're saying they are, which obviously we can see in the whole normal reality around us, where, there's a lot of fakery going on. And we cannot think that disclosure or awakening is just affecting the people out there, it's affecting all of us.
Right.
And I have always been very open to just keep changing my mind and changing my perspective and keep evolving and expanding, because beyond anything, any definition, identification, I really see it about a expansion of consciousness, and we're all here to learn. And I'm just trying to see the really big picture that will actually help people to get to where we want to get, instead of just a lot of what I see around, which is really like, whether it's in religious teachings or spirituality, which is kind of victim language. It's like we're waiting for something outside to happen to us to save us all from this misery. And
Hmm.
we are not really fully remembering what we are right now, that we are co-creating all of this as one. And
Yeah.
we're projecting this out. So we are the creators. We're the ones we're waiting for, quite literally. We're deities, we're the ascended masters, guardians, and we're God
Hmm.
source consciousness embodied. And once we're tapping into the God source consciousness embodied, there's no more separation. You're at one with creation, and nothing is happening to you, it's happening for you. And that's when everything is conspiring in your favor.
Yeah.
When we have transcended all the separation, which we've been very busy doing by going through separation and purging it and bringing it all up and out. What fun this has
I love
been.
the accentuation on that. First, let me say this. This is great. I have been having, for the last, mine's about the same, 2011, so the last 11, 12 years, this golden white light that will come in. And I was just saying this the other day, it's coming about maybe a dozen times, maybe once a year or something like that. And it's been coming in the last 10 days, 2 weeks, about on 2 or 3 shows. And I haven't said anything, but it's been coming on now. So I know this is hot. I know that this is going to be a great show. And then what you said too, yeah, there's no, it always, it's been an interesting ride watching the cycle of, I'm going to call it projection within the communities when people are saying, "Hey, they're a guru," and I'm sure I've been, guilty of it, or they're false light, or whatever. But what intrigues me about it is it keeps coming back, and it keeps coming back, and it gets bigger and bigger. And I got to thinking about it. It's interesting that you brought it up, because I was thinking, well, I wonder if, because of where our awareness was, that the individual's own awareness and understanding, or coherence with the universe, or lack thereof, was based on that awareness of self, and that there wasn't, that it was a high frequency at the time in the higher potentials, but because the awareness is expanded, and basically, I'll just put it in my words, and the universe is like saying, well, you're the one holding this up, get over yourself. So it's like these identities, that some of these identities that were so vital and critical to our self-empowerment and self-awareness are no longer the highest part of our potential. And the only thing holding it back is the individual wanting to let that go. You know what I mean? Because someone like you with the way that and there's a lot of examples out there, particularly women, and they tend to be kind of quiet in the background and do it their own way. They carry a frequency that they're not, overtaken by themselves. They're not, caught up in themselves. I mean, this is a tough ride with this whole ego thing. But yeah, I think you're right about that. I think we've gotten to a point now where the telepathy is too high, and what we know, everyone knows. We're moving that direction, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's becoming crystal clear. Nothing can be hidden.
Yeah.
So everything that's been hidden in the dark or in the unconscious ultimately is becoming conscious.
Yeah.
So that's your God source self becoming conscious, and the ego is your false self. It's literally a fictitious identity, fictitious. So it doesn't really exist, and it's what has created the matrix, and it's a quite recent development as we have fallen so far in consciousness and the feelings of separation and fragmentation, which has totally then, we are always connected to source, but the signal was so faint in a way because we have fallen so far that we could almost not remember our true self. And what we are seeing really is like a lot of fakery, as in it's the veils, or we call it, it's also an artificial sine wave. So a lot of what we see in the reality is, as I'm seeing it, an artificial overlay over an organic creatrix field. And that has been literally been projected by our ego, ultimately, by our false ego. That's what that equates to at the highest level of consciousness. And as we remember our true self and peel away all these layers of again and again and again, we finally arrive at our true self, because it does happen in layers, the same as we have arrived here in steps, and the same as we've given out our power away in many different ways. And we need to keep reclaiming it. We need to keep reinforcing our boundaries. We need to keep fine-tuning our discernment. It's taken us a while, linearly speaking, to get here and then also to get back. But it's really a thing of how I'm seeing it, like going back in time, although time doesn't really exist because it's all parallel and all happening now. But then you're also going back in time of seeing like, okay, what went wrong here? How did we fall in consciousness? Like we literally fell asleep behind the steering wheel. And now it's like, enough of us remembering we are God source consciousness embodied, which is literally God saying like, oh, wait, what's going on here? Let's shift us back into heaven on earth. Because how I'm seeing this is not like a gradual rebuilding process and us healing the consciousness. This is already done.
Right.
And we are going to wake up any moment now, heaven on earth, which is the only true reality there ever was, which is the awakening through your true God source self.
Right.
And that's a total non-event, ultimately, because it's just an awakening to your true self, and that always exists outside of time. So it's God remembering itself while we, had to come and learn the lessons, incarnate. Because the way I'm seeing it, as soon as you create a fall, anything that's created, you create automatically the opposite. So as soon as we created the fall, we also created the rising.
Mm-hmm.
Because one can't exist without the opposite. And we had to fall in consciousness ultimately in order to expand in consciousness. Because there can't be expansion without contraction. So, there's always this divine plan. Like this is like at the highest level to explain it. So there is the highest, again, everything is ultimately working for us, and we have created this all as one. And once we're transcending all the separation, which is happening right now, we're remembering our God source self, and we're back on heaven on earth, because that's the consciousness projecting out, because everything is a projection. So once we are embodying our God source self, the consciousness, which everything is based upon in our reality, then we see heaven on earth. And it's literally like waking up from a dream, because we are holographic. Right. The reality is holographic, and this doesn't need to be big destruction. There doesn't need to be nothing. Like the whole thing is like, ultimately God is in charge, which is us, but our highest self, which we're not fully consciously embodying and aware of. But that's where the surrendering comes in. If we knew everything, this would be really boring, wouldn't it?
We wouldn't even be here. It's like
now we're getting to the fun, hopefully.
It's like
I think so.
As in the hologram, we, the holographic, created a hologram, and that's the hologram, that overlay. So let me ask you this. So one of the things as the consciousness is expanding and the conversations are expanding that's coming up is this whole how we hold dark and light, how we hold good and evil, or positive and negative, or whatever you want to call it, masculine, feminine, even, but particularly dark and light, because of all the narratives and of course the way you explain it, as some do, and I tend to go with what you're talking about, is, in my words, I would say to look at it through the soul's eyes, but not from a fluffy love and light place. You still, the both sides of it are always there. But so my question is, how important do you think it is for an individual to continue to be open to dark and light, and to continue to do its best to integrate polarities? And how important is it to the whole from the individual standpoint? Or does it even matter? Is it just happening, and feel the alignment and you know, and stay within your own presence? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's kind of all of these things. So it's like polarity integration is what ascension is ultimately about. That's what twin flames, divine unions, what your own inner divine union is about. Divine union is ascension. It's you integrating all of your multidimensional selves, which is all of these fractals of what we would call light and dark. And I mean, if you think of reality, is there anything that's just light and dark and black and white? There are many shades of gray and colors in between. So that's the thing about, as to transcend duality and the distorted polarity, because we can't get rid of polarity. As again, you create one thing, you create the other. So we can't get rid of it. And if you want to see it symbolically, it's the difference between a Vesica Pisces and the two circles, that meet in the middle, where you just have the polarities, but then you also have, it's kind of, for me, a representation of the bi-wave or the reversals also that have been running in the field, because you don't have the third energy, which would be the still point, the neutrality that source, in a sense, embodies. So source, how does God, source, consciousness, see creation? It would be from a neutral standpoint at the highest viewpoint. So you can merge the polarities, which is polarity integration, through neutrality, through the viewpoint of how would God see this, where, again, you have created the fall and good and evil, but in order to transcend it, actually, because you have still the polarities, but now you have merged them and unified them in divine union with the third energy, which is divine love and neutrality, which is source. And then you have the Trinity. That's what the Trinity symbolizes. And then you have kind of the three circles, symbolically represented. And they are what represents a tri-wave, which is what we're shifting also in the grids. So in the grids, we had this reversals, what they call reversals running, which is also what is created, or, is part of the gender war, the distorted polarities, the polarities being at war, instead of unifying the polarities within the neutrality and divine love of saying, let's say, you have a different opinion to me, but let's say, agree to disagree. Let's try to come to a solution here, because what most of we've been seeing in the split in the spiritual community and out in the consciousness is us arguing over opinions and belief systems. We feel we are more or less than another, the division, the envy, competition, all of that stuff. So what we're accessing right now and activating is the unity field, which is the Trinity that we embody within ourselves, also reflected through the divine feminine, divine masculine union that then births the divine child, the Christ child, which is us rebirthing ourselves as the second coming of the Christ, so to say, as our Christ itself. Us activating right now, literally 13th strands, physicalized DNA and beyond, the full divine template of the 144, which is bringing online the only one true organic reality that ever was, through us unifying masculine and feminine, through us integrating the polarities. And this goes beyond just good and bad, or right and wrong, and black and white, because it's all these different, as you go up in dimensions, you have to integrate all different viewpoints. You have to integrate all of your different aspects, all of your multidimensional selves, which we are doing now. And the forerunners are very much integrating their avatar self, their ascended master self, which is the 12D avatar, and it's IC 13D. And again, it goes beyond all of that. But it's us ultimately integrating, yes, at the deepest level. It's about the split of the masculine and feminine, and the new androgynous blueprint of I call it Christa Sapphira or Christos Sophia, which is the masculine and feminine unified, and you're birthing the Christ child, which is androgynous, but it's the Trinity, which balances and integrates all of these distorted polarities within the unity field, within the still point, within the 0 point field. That's why it's so important that whatever we are going through, we keep coming back to the still point. We keep coming back to the heart. We keep neutralizing it. We keep feeling whatever we need to feel, but we keep coming back to, okay, how would God see this?
Right.
Neutralized. It just is. You literally right now a lot. You just need to accept it as it is and let go, because it's all a dream. And that's how it dissolves. Because you understand we are literally integrating all of this madness within the still point, which just is. And then we can completely collapse this quantum standing wave function, which is like a sine wave. And what's a sine wave? A sine wave is thought forms. So this whole matrix is based on thought forms and belief systems. As we totally neutralize them in the 0 point field, they can just collapse. All that is false and artificial, that's inverted, these reversals and inversions of the consciousness, to fully rebirth all of creation, because this is cosmic. This is all of creation, way beyond 5D. Fully rebirthing the whole cosmos in this, what I see is kind of like in a video game. It's very malleable, it's instant, it's literally heaven on earth right here, right now. And there's no in between. I don't see an in between, because there's either we're crawling out of it and you can see signs of things shifting massively right now. But I feel any moment now there will literally just be the shift in the magnetic field with the poles. Again, no destruction, and just an awakening. And we're back on heaven on earth, because again, this is energy, frequency, and vibration. This is a holographic projection. There doesn't need to be any destruction whatsoever.
Right. Okay, that's a lot there.
Sorry, yeah, I'm just when I'm speaking to someone else, coming in.
You're rolling. Keep going. No. You just had me thinking about a lot of different questions. But let me ask you this: you mentioned the third energy. We've obviously I don't need to do any background. You cover everything. Are you seeing evidence from your perspective of the third energy in physical form materializing, becoming a part of our lives, so to speak? Are you seeing that, and or do you think we will see that?
Which would be neutrality and divine love, source energy?
Yeah, I would say yes. Your descriptions that you talked about earlier and what you're saying now, neutrality, that space where how would God see this? I mean, you could call it the mother's womb. So that not only is it a neutrality, but there's also new creations that come from that, that we might see that might be more miraculous, and they might come out in people's abilities or creations or, what have you. Are you seeing any evidence of that? Because we just went through this 10-year period, right? From December 21st, 2012, December 21st, 2022. And that was, it seems like, there's a lot of people talking about it. Their experience through this time, since the solstice, as we got into 2023, everything feels so different. It feels literally like a totally different atmosphere. Something is very, very different as we get into 2023. Do you think that we'll start to see some of whatever this energetic transformation phase is or threshold that we've crossed, that we might see some physical things that might have been considered extraordinary or even supernatural prior to, say 2012 even?
I think we're seeing tiny bits of it. like more and more of the iridescent kind of rainbow clouds and sky pictures. So
Yeah.
we can see, because what I see is also a false firmament. So we're literally looking at a false sky. So we can see portals opening, ribs sort of in the firmament. And I was also seeing and posting on my Twitter the other day a video of someone zooming in on the clouds, keeping, zooming in using different filters. And I could literally see like a circuitry board. You
Really?
could see it.
You
Yeah.
know, do you know
You can check out my
how
Twitter.
long ago
You will
was
see
it?
it.
How long ago was this? Did you put up a post?
It was not just on my Twitter. I
Okay.
reposted it from someone else. But
Okay.
I also saw, because I don't, I'm not like a clairvoyant, as in I don't see auras or, kind of the supernatural with my naked eyes, just internally. But I saw at the end of November, when I was talking about the magnetic pole shift being fully anchored and completed, so to say, in the field energetically, and is now going online fully, physically at the end of November. And I was looking up on that day, and I could see the false, firmament. And it's a little bit like, with my naked eye, and obviously not that close as a circuitry board, but I could see, the artificialness of it with my naked eyes. And it's a little bit like, what's it called? Those movies. I can't remember now. But where it's also like, you're kind of, some of those futuristic movies have the false sky, and you can imagine it like this. But I believe a part of it where it was held in our third eye, also through implants. And I also saw, and I've been working on the whole cellular level, because ultimately, again, it all comes back to consciousness. So,
Mm-hmm.
it exists on many different levels, the same as implants, inserts, all the holographic overlays, that sometimes people speak about, that we can't see, with our with our real eyes, but are energetically in our light body placed. And it's similar to this, as in, so first of all, also the remembrance of all of this is coming online within us. Yeah. And now more and more people see physical evidence of what is really behind this firm, false sky, so to
Right.
say.
Right.
They are tuning into, the circuitry board. They're tuning into glitches in the matrix. They're tuning into Mandela effect. So more and more, because the consciousness is becoming aware of, we have imagined all of this, and it's a projection and it's holographic.
Yeah.
So first it awakens within you, and then you will see it out there. It's not like disclosure, as they say, or many people are expecting, it's coming from out there and then it's telling everyone. No, it has to arise from within, because everything is actually an inside out creation. So, it's then like the outside will be a confirmation. So as all of this falsity clears, you will see more and more truth around you,
Yeah.
as
That's
we are seeing now.
yeah. And that would make total sense because I mean, from an energetic standpoint, this is what we've done. We've woken up within ourselves to see the matrix we built around ourselves with the labels and the roles and all the stuff that we've done through shadow work and zero pointing, so that that would materialize. It may not look at the same look the
Exactly.
same way, but I think yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It really does. And you mentioned also what some again have been talking about, and for quite some time, different ways, but a moment when it really flips. I think about this a lot, and I think, oh well, we're getting just as much as we can handle, and we're going as fast as we can. But there still seems to be this bigger thing that we're all a part of as fractals that's moving the directions it's moving, and it's taking us with it, kind of. And yes, is that us? Yes. But what I'm trying to say is, the more I think about it, even though I've always resisted like a solar flash or the axis, rotate at some point or whatever the case is, I can't see how it wouldn't happen in an instant at some point. Do you
It's a
feel like
memory.
do you feel like it's going to be something like that? What you mentioned earlier, where the axis will flip and there'll be, and I mean really energetically more than anything. I don't know what this would look like in the
Well, it
real
has
world.
already energetically, in a way, like, or rather, it's been anchored, and it's it's all kind of quantum completing. That's the whole thing, because we keep looking at this from a kind of, linear viewpoint.
Right.
So it has already happened, it's
Right.
happening, and it's like we're just remembering.
Right.
So that whole solar flash thing, whether it's going to happen through a solar flash or which any other way, it doesn't really matter whatsoever.
Right.
It only matters that we are remembering it, and whilst we're remembering, we're releasing and clearing out all these false also prophecies, because there are also a lot of false prophecies out there, like Armageddon, loads of biblical things, because they actually mean something very different. You need to look at this all much more symbolically in a kind of abstract, high level viewpoint to not get lost in the illusion. Because whilst we are believing that this reality is real, you're kind of lost and you keep feeding the unreal.
Yeah.
So you need to transcend the whole notion of trying to figure out with your linear mind what needs to happen, how is this all going to shift? Because ultimately it's just like, yeah, it's switching on. Like I see it as beyond solar flash, and it might be a part of it, and it's already happening for over a year. We're being blitzed, especially now for the last, I don't know, couple of weeks,
I
by the
know.
solar
It's been
flare.
crazy. You're going to have to talk about that.
So it's constantly happening in slow motion. This has happened over like since around October 2021, where I saw this all fully locking in, and then it's just kind of an unfolding. And how long do we need to do this, and how much mayhem is going to happen, sort of thing. But again, the kind of the future is secured. It's just how are we going to get there? How is it going to happen? Because we're also co-creating it as we go, and there are always so many different,
Right.
especially now in the quantum possibilities of how we could get there. But again, ultimately, it's just an awakening, and I see it as an inside-out explosion or implosion instead of an outside-in.
Right.
If then it will be not, I don't even believe it will be a physical solar flash. It would be a very physical light, because we're already working with that. Yeah, where we bring not physical light, sorry, spiritual light, as in the diamond white, rainbow flame, or these different light spectrums that are spiritual, the same as the plasma light. That's not to be, that we can't measure with those modern
That's right.
ancient Neanderthal technologies. So a lot of what I believe it will be more spiritual is already happening anyway, as well as physically through these solar flares, which are constantly clearing our field and are activating our DNA and are crystallizing us and the planet through the ionization process that happens through the solar flares. But I believe it's more an inside out event. What I'm seeing is it's connected to the crystalline core of Earth, because Earth to me is literally the jewel of creation. And again, you need to see this more in the abstract. Okay, it's like you're in a story here, you're in a movie. Okay, you're playing a movie. Don't take it so literal of there's a vast universe and multiverse out there and whatever, and we are just
Do
two
it like
teeny tiny little ants down here, and we have nothing to do with all
do it like it'd be like reading some of the texts you were talking about. Read them as a science fiction novel, not
or something you would tell a child to
Yes.
teach it morals and ethics.
Yes. Yeah.
So we are learning from these stories that we've been pre-writing, so we're remembering what we've written, in a sense. And that's, I think, the sudden awakening where it's like an epiphany or a deja vu or just a remembering and awakening that's a total non-event of your original divine already ascended self that's always there, because this is timeless, because all time is parallel. So all we have to do really is collapse time. What is time? Time is data, information, it's memory, and all of that is fully clearing right now.
Yeah.
Sunatera shekena setara tsatara sa atara. It is done. The time thing is big. It really is.
Yeah.
You have to, because everything out there constantly, doesn't matter. So much is always some kind of time thing connected to a lot of what we're reading, and it's very subconscious. You need to understand that what we've been co-creating all this time has been run on our subconscious, which is like 95% of our consciousness that has been running the show.
Right.
And it's the unconscious becoming conscious, and that's what helps us to choose different realities where we're no longer running all of the stuff on autopilot and have everything inform us of what we should be creating, which is everywhere because it's not just the news. This is everywhere on our information feed in Facebook, Instagram, I don't care where. And it's always connected to time. And you have to fully transcend linear time, space, and gravity in order to get to 5D and beyond for us to ascend, because that it's a time matrix. It's all these time cycles. It's these, the same with the astrological processions and equinoxes. This is all based on a system that has been blown apart, and it's not, the planets are not where they should be. The axial tilt is, like it's already shifting as we're talking about, but it's not, it's based on a fallen system, and you keep programming yourself subconsciously most of the time by reading all of this. Why the next week and the next 3 months and the next year, everything is this year. This year is gonna be like this. This year, like, I'm sorry, but it really triggers me because I know how important it is to transcend.
Right.
There is no time. There is no fucking time if you want to ascend.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very firm about that.
No, I agree with you. I was talking about I like the F-bombs. No, but I was talking about that on the show. One of my 2 mantras so far, as I'm getting into the year, which are just organic things, like wherever I'm at, what can I keep in my mind? And so what it is, it's a mantra around, not, in other words, I kind of have like a super sensitivity, detectors up for any pressure or stress from time. Not that I get it, but when I catch myself saying, like even scheduling, the scheduling going into this year is very just, hey, you want to try, they're very quick. And I don't have a bunch of people built up there. I'm very sensitive to letting everything happen organically. And then I'm also being told, in terms of like, Soulogy, for myself, and I don't know how this would, relate to other people, but I guess with their purposes or whatever they're discovering they want to do, kind of like, Morgan talks about it, my friend Ty talks about it, building the container, building in the new from the new pieces rather than the old constructs. And obviously one of those is time. And I keep hearing, don't get in a rush. Don't get in a rush. I've been wanting to see Soulogy expand for over 5 years in a particular way. And I know it can be done, but I keep hearing, just let it happen. Let it happen without any constraints of time. And I think that's going to, for me, it feels like it's going to be a big theme this year, is the reduction or the time fading away, I guess would be the way I'd put it.
Yeah, go quantum. So, because the way you think something takes time is not actually real. If you just align your frequency with it, and then as everything aligns within the quantum field, especially right now, as all of these, because you see why it hasn't happened as well, is because of all the interference, quite frankly. We had to fight a storm.
Yeah.
We had to fight a storm.
That was going to be one of my next questions to you. But I want you to keep talking about this, and let me just throw this in while you do.
What was the question?
No, we'll go back to that. How would
what was
you?
The question?
Well, this is the better one. How would you suggest to me or to somebody? How would it best work if I wanted to align with quantum time, and as a result, obviously, I would be detaching from linear time, but. What would be the best way to align with quantum time, to align my chakras, my frequencies, to be able to begin to create and experience life in that new dimension?
I think you're already doing it. And it's basically what you've been saying. And what we have been aligning and creating is dissolving all of these constructs that have been keeping us connected to the false matrix, or 3D, however we want to call it. So, which would be time, and which would be also equal money. So we had to, the same as I have done, and I have also not done any private sessions, just because energetically I can't do it, because I just hold a lot in the field. I do a lot of energetic work, kind of behind the scenes. That takes a lot out of me. So I was shown in October 2021, I needed to just pull all the way back as we're going for this mayhem and do as much as I, as I can share with everyone, but I couldn't work on a one-to-one basis because it was just kind of draining me. And it just wasn't working out for the time we were in. And that's kind of, I needed to just focus on kind of the one mind, the whole collective, instead of, working on that one-to-one basis. But
Right.
also another point was, so as you don't then have one-to-one appointments, is you don't have the time framery. Yeah. So everything in my life, literally, I don't have any more, I literally don't have any appointments unless I have something come up. But ultimately, I work totally and exist outside of time. And it's very important for what I'm doing. I've been shown this a while ago. So the same as you, I really reduce it to an absolute minimum, and I'm working outside of time. It's all about quantum alignment. Most of the videos I do, there would be just a few hours before I would announce them. And very rarely do I get a few days in advance of where I should be doing something specifically at a time. Also because I've been shown, because there's been so much interference and fuckery, as I call it, that
That's what I call it.
as you, yeah, as you don't know what you're about to do, they don't know what you're about to do.
Right.
So you have kind of an advantage in a way, and it gives you a little bit more space to do what you need to do without so much maybe being thrown in your way
Right.
in advance. Although it is outside of time, but it's just very quantum, because every moment, everything keeps shifting. The same with kind of the ascension plan. There's so many upgrades constantly, because again, we are a quantum field that's quantum entangled, and we're all having our jobs and roles to play here. And sometimes, people don't really maybe, follow their guidance and intuition, and they let maybe a little bit go, and other people need to pick up. If somebody does this decision instead of that one, this will shift in a quantum field. You know what I mean? There's this whole butterfly effect that constantly
Yeah.
happens. So nothing is really set, especially now as we have totally transcended linear time ultimately already. It's just the consciousness picking up on this, or, coming on board of remembering time is not real. Even science is telling us this. But obviously everything in this 3D reality is being directed at time. Like, how do you get stressed? I used to get so stressed all the time with time. I used to travel a lot for work. I got myself into a burnout, and time was a big part of that, because you
Yeah.
need to do so many things in that amount of time. Now, I'm really sorry for anyone working out there, and having a family and needing to do all this bullshit, because you have literally 16 hours instead of 24, roughly. Even science, I think, again, is catching up on that. The earth is spinning faster and time is moving more quickly. There's a time acceleration as time is totally collapsing in on itself within the 0 point field, the totality of singularity, because again, the organic creative field that we are accessing, remembering, and igniting right now exists in no time whatsoever. So the more of us can hold this no time field and don't, have this whole crazy stress going on that a lot of the collectives needs to go through, of stressing around of time and trying to get all their work done in a certain amount of time framery, and rush from this place to that place and pick up their kids and go to work, and oh my God, I need to get some sleep, and because I need to get some sleep, I can't sleep, and I need to wake up again, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know
That's
what
what
you
fucking creates burnouts and all the insanity, not all, but it certainly doesn't make people healthy. So
mean.
we are creating all of these new blueprints, ways of being, by doing what we're being guided, such as transcending time or sacrificing money,
Right.
doing certain things that we would have usually done as our old self in order to just survive in this world, or, to go with the program in order to transcend the program. So whilst we're doing this, it hasn't been easy, and we haven't been rewarded, because the whole system is about, you need to go with the program,
Right.
otherwise it's going to be very hard. So we had it very hard by doing the right thing and creating the new programs. But believe me, this is paying out now, any freaking second now, and no time whatsoever. We're going to be rewarded by ourselves by having co-created the new blueprints for the new earth, where time and money is non-existent,
I agree.
because it's non-existent almost in our reality.
I agree. And I don't think, it's so, there's so many subtleties, the way this whole cyclical thing was built in with the time, the calendar, the week, but even like contracts, right? Written agreements, oaths, the whole 9 yards. or signing a check. So, I mean, this is all becoming obsolete, right? If
But
time is
I'm seeing
becoming,
right
yeah, go ahead.
So what I'm seeing right now is literally the last few days. I see words dissolving. I see these false pictures of reality dissolving in the field. It's all interconnected. It's literally all dissolving in the field. It's like a false consciousness, false memories that are dissolving. And it's like waking up from a dream where you're like, oh, wow, I just imagined this because we have projected our consciousness into this false reality, so to say, in order to again expand the consciousness, and then it will be as if it never happened. Although obviously it has, happened, but it's ultimately everything is a dream. What is real? Real is really just you being pure consciousness, being God source consciousness at one with everything,
Yeah.
and everything else is a projection of that consciousness wanting to have fun and experiencing itself, expansion, contraction. It's bored. What really does it come back to? Actually, it's like consciousness or source being bored, wanting to experience itself within all these fractals. And then, we kind of went through all of these experiences in order to come up with the perfect blueprint
Mm-hmm.
of this new heaven on earth where we can actually live that forever, because there's no more time. There's no more going back. There's actually, because the consciousness has changed and there is no more need to go back.
Yeah. Right on.
And there's no false AI timelines running.
There's none
Not
running.
leaving anyone behind, so to say. Sorry.
I used to say that when I first woke up, and I used to hear a lot of other people say that. I'm not leaving till the last lost struggling soul gets home, or I'm not leaving. No one's left behind. I think it is all or nothing. There's been other times I thought, well, maybe not, but if you really take it all the way down, I mean, or maybe what it is like you're talking about, a migration for some frequencies that have increased, go to a different band of frequencies.
The way I see it is that, so we tend to see it from the kind of fragmented 3D viewpoint.
True.
The thing is, if you're one consciousness and this is all a dream, there is no death. There is nobody not making it, because
Right.
it's all just one.
There you go.
But at another level, what it is, if you look at individualized consciousnesses, yeah, not everybody is making it, because some of the consciousnesses physicalized in a body have just digressed so much in consciousness and within their own blueprint that they cannot make it physically, through this ascension, so to say, which is a purification ultimately.
Right.
And they're returning back to source, but ultimately we're all returning back to source. We're all dying and we're all being reborn, but it's not as physical as some people see it. It's happening. We need to look at reality a little bit more symbolic, more in the abstract, archetypes, all of that. The same as Mandela effect, one moment to the other. Somebody that was never born has been born, or somebody else has never existed. You know what I mean? This is way more malleable. People are seeing this too literal, the
Right.
whole reality. That they're thinking this is all real, and it's not. As long as you think this is all real, that you are you, and I am me, and this body is real, it's really not. It's a dream. We're dreaming all of this. You're projecting yourself into this hologram right now, and we're about to fully shift it. Because we're remembering again that this was all a dream and that this is not the highest consciousness, and we're shifting back to God source consciousness, which is heaven on earth, and this is you just literally wakening up, and everything has shifted.
Thank you.
And again, sorry, one more thing, and what I didn't finish before, it's literally an inside out event. It's an cosmic heart awakening, an ignition or full ignition, and it's already happening, of our permanent or Christ God seed atom, the cosmic seed atom. So it's in your thymus. It's the spark within your heart, however you want to call it, which is really your God seed. So the thing that you have within you, that also through all of the trauma and all of what we have been going through, one of the things was closing our hearts down, which is also called like a black heart affliction. And when you close your heart down, you cannot ascend anymore because you're not connected to your soul, you're not connected to your heart. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is all about the opening, keeping our hearts open for all of this mayhem. And as this ignites fully, because this is connected to the crystalline core of the earth, and this ignites the cosmic heart grid fully. Because again, I see earth as the jewel of creation, and it's literally like the permanent seed atom or this God seed atom of all of creation, of the whole cosmos. So it's like we are like the core of the core, and we hold it within our heart, because again, everything is micro macro. So it's within your heart, it's within the crystalline core, and then it's, you know what I mean? It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
part of that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's igniting, because time, space, and gravity is not real. It's literally, you know, the same if we talk about traveling, you know, teleporting. You're not going anywhere. You're just shifting a frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is actually there is just the field around you and projecting all of this.
Right.
And it seems as if you're going places, but you're actually not.
Right. Like a
If that
lucid,
makes sense.
like a lucid dream, like a lucid dream.
It is a lucid dream, and
Yeah.
we are kind of awakening, so we can now be the masters of the lucid dream because we've been asleep in a dream, and parts of us have been the crazy psychopathic parts of us have been controlling the dream.
Yeah. It's like inception. You know, you're waking up in the dream, wake up in the dream within the dream, but then this is the ultimate dream.
Yeah, but Jesus,
You,
there's also some fuckery programming on in that dream too, I noticed.
well, you know, somebody's got to play the
Um,
role. But
let's kill ourselves.
let me
But we
ask you.
are on a way. That's the funny thing. We're all dying upon this individual
True,
false ego self
true. What
that
about
has imagined all of this crap.
you mentioned October? I don't even have to ask you about it because I mean everyone that came on the show. I mean that was September, October, and November, and then it started. You know, we got into December. Things started to lead us into 2023. But you mentioned, you know, some pretty big energy came in, and you kind of pulled everything back and pulled all your energy within yourself, and you know, kind of time, kind of being put in a different place, and so on. Was there certain specific things that were occurring collectively in the energetic field that you might could speak to at the end of last year and as we get into January and what you see coming? I mean, like, you know, like the balanced masculine, feminine, or certain programmings like survival fading away or time fading away. Is there anything else that you could add to what you've already told us?
Well, there are a lot of things. It's always hard almost to speak about linearly, even to keep track of so much that's happening, and it's happening in layers. But what I was speaking about earlier was actually referring to October 2021.
Oh, 2021. Okay.
Yeah, well,
I can't even
when I
remember
could
that far.
see, but it's funny to speak about time because it is ultimately happening outside of time. But when I really saw when I could see all the dimensions, all the realities, all the timelines, universes, everything literally merging into this totality of the singularity still point of no time whatsoever, was in for the winter equinox. No, is it equinox? No, the solstice, the
Solstice.
21st of December of 2020.
Okay.
And ever since then, I could see, okay, this is locked in, and we're kind of, moving through this now. So it's like, this is what's happening. But what I can't obviously see is I can't see when it's really completing,
Yeah.
what's exactly in the middle of it. You know, it's like a one step after another, and I'm trying to share as much as I can of what I, see developing. And then in October 2021, roughly, or the end of September, I could just see, okay, this is now fully the new divine organic creatrix field. It was like more parts are coming together, and I could really, like, for me it felt like this is happening now, because it is ultimately.
Right.
And ever since then I'm kind of holding this is happening now. And I know that some people think I'm crazy, or that, things like or that, maybe I lost credibility towards them because I keep speaking about now, but I also have, always said ultimately it's outside of time, and
Right.
and it's really hard for a linear mind to get what I'm speaking about without thinking I'm talking nonsense in a way, or you know what I mean? As in, parts of you will understand what I'm talking about, but your ego might come in the way and will say like, oh, well, it still hasn't happened. Why is it not happening? And, how long is this going to take? And, sort of thing, which parts of me, of course, would, which would be reflected, a reflection of parts of me, also obviously being impatient, but who's impatient and who is keeping even track of time? It's your ego.
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of magic self of you. So you have to totally transcend time, which I've been busy doing along with everybody else by keep repeating in a way the messages
Mm-hmm.
of no time. We need to transcend time
Mm-hmm.
because we need to recondition the mind. And I know I am sometimes repetitive, but it has to happen because you have to literally super anchor this. You have to
Yeah.
reprogram yourself, which is
Well, you have
really
to.
what
You
I'm
have to.
doing. Which
You have to walk the talk. Do you think we have to do the same thing with space?
in which way?
Well, like with time, like in other words, if I
Yeah,
keep,
it's
I
it's
keep,
illusionary,
right,
totally.
I keep asking you, do you think this will be done by this time? That's basically what I'm saying, and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and
yeah,
what you're
yeah.
saying is very true, and it's something I need to, and like I told you, I've already been kind of implementing it, but I think it's something we all need to consider in these communities too, because every time we make that reference, we are anchoring linear time.
Yes, yes.
So I guess, and I think you started to answer it already. And obviously, I'm in a situation like with Morgan, and obviously we've gotten a lot of data about what we've done. Her being in the southern hemisphere, me being here, when the humans would maybe prefer something else, But part of that's been impressed upon me is the illusion of space and along with time. So
Yeah.
I think you started to answer, but do you think space kind of falls into the same category as time, as far as us starting to consciously walk the talk and leave space behind with time?
Yeah, it's time, space, gravity. Those are the three main things. Because again, if you think about light body, teleporting, levitation, um, all of these things we can do and are activating right now because many of us can feel our light body
Mm-hmm.
and Macabre fully activating because all the distortions have been cleared and it's just, divine timing and alignment right now. And yeah, distance is one of those things, and especially the twin flames, divine counterparts, however you want to call it, when merge your energy bodies, you ultimately are together. You
Mm-hmm.
will know as well,
Mm-hmm.
especially, as you've been physical with, in physical union with Morgan as well, that you can feel her right there with you. It's just
Mm-hmm.
that tiny little bit still missing where you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I really want to feel your skin right now.
Mm-hmm.
You want to just have that physical experience as well. But what I'm feeling is we're literally merging that, especially the twin flames.
Yeah.
And it's literally through that you connecting with her
Right.
where she is not there with you,
Right.
that's actually bringing the teleportation online, I feel. Because I'm getting, like, I don't know, what is first. But again, many of the twin flames are physically together. They're all different, kind of, obviously as relationships playing out there. But we're all coming into the full herogamic union, I believe, together.
Right.
So whether you're physically with them or physically apart, ultimately, again, the separation is the illusion, which you're
Right.
transcending through the physical separation. And it's ultimately the ignition between the hearts. So as you are tuning into her and you're connecting with her telepathically or etherically, you can do the same work almost as you do physically. And as you're
Right.
doing that, you're also transcending the distance perceived because there is ultimately no distance. Because what we're accessing is where you will be able to literally just teleport yourself over there.
Just like dream state. That's how
Yeah, and I
that's how I
believe
see
the
it.
dream state and all of that stuff is more real than all of this other
I do
bullshit.
too. I do too. I do too. And have you noticed? Or that's a dumb question. How much have your abilities and your sensitivities, like your knowing and your abilities that are unique to you, how much have they grown recently? Are they picking up pretty fast? Are they expanding? Like as we got late 2022, early 2023.
I think they're much more rapidly expanding right now. I think it might be more subtle. What you can expect most of as you're reclaiming your sovereignty and all of your power is that you have what you're already doing has much more power, is much more quick, and will be more effortless. Plus, more remembering coming online, like especially memories of your multidimensional selves, and with it come more of your abilities online, more of your remembering, and everything is starting to make more sense. So it's kind of like this picture is coming together. All of the kind of puzzle pieces you've been collecting over the years in your life is coming together. And as that happens, as the full memory comes online, all of the other abilities are also coming online. So
Right.
as new abilities, I'm just trying to think now if there is anything new recently. It's just much more clearer. I just have so much clarity in regards to reading situations
Yeah.
beyond this 3D screen. As you say, this telepathy, it's like this
Yeah.
clear field where everything is being read and nothing can be hidden anymore, no matter what anyone
Right.
is pretending to be doing or
That's right.
saying. And that's the thing where I'm seeing, again, disclosure is an inside out thing where you just remember. You remember who you really are. You remember your gifts and abilities. You remember your power. You remember what really happened. You remember the true history before all the fall and catastrophes and all the mayhem happened, which is bringing the new realities online. And then you also remember who everybody else is,
Right.
the ones who have been hiding behind, false pretenses, for example. So
Right.
it's all just, nobody can hide anymore. Whether it's ourselves or other people, and everything has just become known and visible. And yeah, with it, more power and our abilities come online. Something new beyond that? No. But I just have many, many different abilities anyway, I feel. And we all have them. It's
Yeah.
like you have something stronger than others. Like I would have clear cognizance and clear sentience very strong, and not really the clear audience or clairvoyance as much. But I can see this also coming more online.
And you said that you spend, you're not really doing sessions, individual sessions. You do a lot of collective work. Is this a big part of your day? Do you go out into the grid, or do you do most of it by distance?
Distance.
And
Because I've been shown a long time ago that it's literally everything held inside of you. And some people obviously have more, local grid work kind of contracts.
right,
But for me, it's always, or a big focus has been, especially, I felt literally stuck here in Ireland. Like I know I'm supposed to be here. I would like to travel more, but I know it's going to come online now. But ultimately, I'm multidimensionally extremely busy. Let's put it that way. So I
yeah,
don't really need to travel to places. But
yeah,
it's fun and it's more powerful, of course.
yeah. Well, there's no doubt. I think we've been really busy, particularly for me anyway. In dream state, are you waking up exhausted and having slight memory of doing a lot of work and exerting a lot of energy, and I mean I'm waking up just very dehydrated. Just I know I've been out there working, and I'm running into people more than usual that are saying, "Hey, you were in my dream last night," or I'm remembering things. It just seems like we're really really busy, kind of like winding this thing up and really getting it going.
Yeah, it's all these different aspects of you clearing out all the timelines, which is literally clearing out your consciousness of any kind of things, that still need to be cleared out and kind of realigned, so to say. So it happens in many different ways. It can happen in our normal day-to-day lives and all the interactions we have, dream time, things we remember. So for me, most of my experiences would be consciously when I do inner grid and gate work. So I literally work with the planet and also cosmically, and that's where I access a lot of the information. I don't actually remember many dreams at all. And I know that many people tell me that they, again, I appear to them or in dream time and so forth. And I usually don't remember what they are seeing. If I remember things, it's consciously. So, which is actually interesting. Kind of those things. If I do remember a dream, it's usually very important. For a long time, I remember I knew that it was a blessing because just so much mayhem. When I could remember, it wasn't nice dreams. I also had things like, what's it called? when you wake up and you can't move, you have like,
Oh, paralysis, like sleep
yeah,
paralysis. Oh yeah.
fuck. I had some really bad experiences, let's put it that way. So I always knew it was kind of a blessing that I couldn't remember the dreams, because it would usually be about being hunted down, running around, trying to get a way out,
No, I
uh,
know.
all of that stuff. So um, for a lot of the time, it was a blessing. And yeah, if I do remember, it's usually something important, but most of the time I don't. And it's more a conscious experience. And I
Mm.
think we will also be more and more conscious, obviously, of all of that.
Have you noticed? And this has just been very recent. Like I'm going to say in the last 30 days, it certainly has been for me, and a lot of people I've talked to, where their diets totally changing. Like not just their diet, but they're we're eating much less food. Are you coming across anything like
Yeah.
that?
Oh my God, since the beginning. For me, weight loss has been kind of a big thing. And most of the time, I can't face food. It's just, I mean, I've never been a big kind of eater as such, you know, like kind of eating big portions or things like this. But especially through the ascension journey, I felt when there's a lot of energy coming in, you just feel all jacked up kind of thing. And I'm kind of too nervous in a way almost to eat. Also, you don't ultimately need to eat. I mean, there is obviously things like breatharianism where people already, are not
Right,
eating,
right.
and then you also don't need to sleep. But I believe that's really more conducive if you're really living in a lot of nature. Like it's not really, the kind of normal day living is not conducive for this. You need a lot of sunlight. You need to have your bare feet on the ground in order to feed off the natural light, so to say, I believe.
Mm,
So
mm.
that's where we are going. And that's where you also might need less sleep, or you can't sleep. You might be tired and can't sleep. I mean, anything goes in the end. It's the same as people gaining weight during the ascension process.
Mm.
But for me, it's been more like, yeah, if loads of high energy streams in, you're being fed by light. You're just being run by light. But it can also make you feel exhausted. So it's also this thing of like, um, tired and wired. It's very useless where you're like all
Mm-hmm.
jacked up, but you can't really do anything useful anyway. But again, all this rest, all this sleep, or you're not doing anything, you're very busy. I'm very aware of what's going on, but you need to get through and transcend the programming of you not doing anything, as
Right.
you know, because you're multidimensionally very busy.
That's right.
And we're doing a lot of stuff to get heaven on earth ready, so to say, and clearing out all the timelines. And a lot of that is in dream state or rest, subconsciously, unconsciously happening.
You mentioned interference, and we've had some interference lately. I don't usually get too excited about any of it, but this one's been really weird. We got knocked off YouTube for a week. A couple of nasty letters, and really didn't do anything. But I was just tapping into it, and I can't really put it into words. But it felt like something had shifted. It felt like, uh, like maybe not being under the radar anymore. Something I can't really put my foot on it. Have you been having interference? Are you seeing interference fading away too, as you were some of the other things you had referred to? Is it something that you feel like will remain to help us to discover polarities and deal with it?
No, we're done, yeah. We're done, yeah. It's fading away. It's been fully removed.
Okay.
Fully removed. So ultimately, the interference is only there because your energy field hasn't been fully healed.
Right.
It's interferences like what we've been seeing playing out, especially last few days again, has been kind of last tests. Ultimately, it's always your consciousness testing itself, and but you can see it in AI. I've noticed it in AI. I was posting something, all of a sudden my um, um, profile is being closed down and I need to log a complaint. But the thing is, I always notice when something like this happens, especially as we level up, there's always a big pushback, always a lot of interference that moves in. And we're just neutralizing it totally in the 0 point field. I don't care if I'm taking off anywhere, like I have no resistance to being having no access to my Facebook. So you need to see in that moment that resistance, that interference is coming in. How are you reacting? If you're just neutral with it and you
Yeah.
can just deal with it, log
Yeah.
your complaint or whatever you need to do there, yeah, usually it actually dissolves within a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
If there is still something where you feel yourself separate from your own creation, because you're co-creating it, even AI is part of the singularity, then that will take a little while longer until you resolved it. But ultimately, all interference is lower coding in your DNA or something in your energy field, in your consciousness that still needs to correct it. Because once you're fully healed your field and kind of your energy field, then you're unfuckable with, which we're accessing right now, where none of this bullshit can, do anything to you. So this was the last test as I've seen it, especially over the last 2 days, where it was like things were popping up and I'm not faced by them
Right.
whatsoever because I can just see clearly through it. And that's how it fully dissolves now. That's why I know we are done here,
Yeah. Yeah.
because we are.
Yeah.
And we are doing this as one mind. There's only one mind here. So even if you think there's so many people out there still not getting it, don't you worry about it at all.
Right. Right.
It's again a non-event. It's consciousness awakening itself. We are all one. But again, some are not, coming with us, that are falling away. It's like as if, dead cells of your body, as you're going through a detox, are falling away from that one cosmic body in a sense.
Yeah. Like skin on my face and hair on my head.
Yeah, because it's
That's all.
just your individual self that would think it can even die. There's nobody to die here.
Do you say, and then you were talking about going into these situations, these things popping back up, and I know we've all had them, but I've seemed like we've had a lot in the last 2, 3, 4 weeks. But I spend a lot of time laughing through them. Do you laugh a lot throughout the day?
More, yeah. And it's a hard thing to come by. I literally, one of my biggest things has been the seriousness because, it's just when you have a lot to deal with, a lot of the attacks or energetically, did this, the mayhem. And also because we're transmuters, we are transmuting all of this heavy energy, all of the crap people don't want to face. So I most of the time have been walking around like a sourpuss, I would say. Like I'm not an embodiment of high vibration, as some people might think awakening looks like whatsoever. This is bullshit. Some might want to anchor this and that's their job. Okay, I'm not so. So I need to purge all this crap. And to some people, I might look like to, whatever. She's not in a high vibe or, she's not ascended or whatever. But ultimately, it's the purity of frequency.
Right.
I can carry all of this shit without judging it.
Right.
And that's why I'm doing it. But I know I'm transmuting a whole lot on behalf of all. And we're also done with it. So what you also mentioned before, yeah, it's the bodhisattva in us because we realize we are all one. And parts of the consciousness cannot face itself
Right.
because they're too much dug into guilt and shame and all this polarity. But we are like the heart and the brain of the cosmic or the planetary body. This is all one. And it's just we are performing different functions.
Yeah.
And it's like we have to be the higher person. And as we heal, the whole consciousness heals and resets itself. And again, part of that consciousness, again, I believe that is happening, has happened already at soul level,
Yeah.
has decided who is ascending with us, so to say, and who has, just to digress the consciousness in order to, ascend. But again, it's even this notion of us, a separate person, being able to die is actually from a higher perspective that we're accessing now, laughable, and it's untrue. It's not real,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Absolutely, it makes sense. Absolutely.
So there's nobody to be worried about. It's actually our own fears being projected out often, and we need to just give everybody their sovereignty and know that ultimately it's all hunky dory and this is all a dream, and whatever will be will be. This is not up to us. We're not some little demigods here. All we can do is really have the highest intentions for everybody involved.
Yeah.
But the rest is up to, divine will and the whole unfoldment. Because again, if we would be in control of everything, this would be no fun. It's like from the beginning on, just focus on the end result and embrace the uncertainty in childlike wonder, because it's our ego that wants to know, that wants to be right, that wants to be informed, because it's your fear. If you're totally relaxed and you know you're one resource and you can't die, nobody else either, you actually just can now relax, laugh at the bullshit, because it's our fears that have created the false matrix and these entities. So we have created the interference.
Yeah, of course. We are the
So the
interference.
only
That's
way we
right.
can,
Yeah.
yeah, so the only way it's lower coding in your DNA ultimately. So the only way you can uncreate it is by realizing it for what it is, no longer reacting to it, no longer feeding, because it is a consciousness that has created, a consciousness within itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need to also see within the oneness there are different, consciousnesses. You're still you, I'm still me. I can't force you to do anything. I'm not oppressing, I'm not forcing anything on you. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're all
Yeah.
sovereign here.
Yeah.
So,
And
that's the tricky part, the sovereignness integrated in the oneness. That's what we're fine tuning here.
right. And I think too, making the transition from the linear environment we were in, and then into an environment of quantum thought creators, right? I mean, because in the linear we go, okay, you got to do this, then you got to do this, and you got to think about this, but in the quantum, it's what you were building to, and what you were talking about. You can't like overthink it. You can't like. You have to allow it to occur in the way the universe sees fit, like you said, for the highest and best. You know what I mean? That part of it ignites the magic, I think. And like you said, we interfere, we get in our own way, or that's been our pattern. Now that we're moving into this new field of consciousness, it's a whole different third energy. It's a whole different type of magic. And I don't know about you, but do you see more and more people awakening or more people surrendering to that?
To what? To
To,
the magic?
well,
The
yeah,
quantum?
in other words, getting out of the way.
Infinite possibilities. Yes,
Yes, like
because it's
just
just
going
your belief
okay. Yeah,
system.
yeah,
Yeah, because it's just your belief systems and thought forms telling you it takes X amount of time. Like if you take the time out of your list and your perception of what it takes even to get you from A to Z, because sometimes it's you activate those realities just by really being in the now moment outside of time and space and just keep listening to your guidance and it will just flow to you. Like everything I do is all in the moment.
yeah,
That's how I had to
yeah,
really, because I was shown I have to be like this. That's why
yeah,
I don't plan anything. Because there's no more planning in a quantum field, because again, everything is so malleable. Nothing is really set yet. That's why you can't really psychically see anymore. That's what's going to happen next week or next month or so. Not at all. I don't see it that way. Time has, again, we're transcending it fully. It's already gone. That's the only way we can access the quantum. And that's where everything can become possible and is possible in any now moment. Again, how do we get from here to new Earth now? What we've been talking about. I mean, how would you figure this out in your head? There is no building process as such. It's just you collapsing this false reality fully by realizing it's not real. Again, the one mind in divine timing. And you're just awakening to, again, God source consciousness projected out, which is heaven on earth. And again, also, obviously, this is happening energetically on many different layers and levels, as I and other people have been sharing. It's
yeah,
both ends. So it's happening
yeah,
linearly as we are perceiving it,
yeah,
as well as in the quantum. But we are, as all of these timelines are collapsing in the 0 point of the 0 point field, the linearity fully goes away because we have been clearing it in our dream time and our waking time and our energy work, grid work, gate work, all of this stuff. All of this is part of it. I mean, it's obviously a vast divine master plan that surpasses all of our understanding. But the simplicity is literally just awakening to what was always real and who you always have been, that exists outside of time, that is already ascended and has always been.
yeah, yeah,
As you take the linear false ego out of the equation and all these thoughts and beliefs that are telling you otherwise, which is really just programming. Why do you believe what you believe? If you take one belief after another apart, you need to ask yourself, why do you believe this?
right.
Most of the time, it's because somebody told you so.
That's right.
So you have to clear all of this bullshit. Just clear your field, go to, in a meditative state or whatever, connect to source, go into nature, whatever, but, gets you to this like kind of clear mind space, and then just ask questions to your God self and see what comes in.
Yeah.
Might not come in that moment, but I mean, it's constantly coming in now because all of these distortions and the interference patterns and these false frequencies that have been messing with us, which have been clouding the field and our clarity, are fully dissolving. So now it's literally crystal clarity. And again, that's the disclosure arising and being ignited from within, because it's a remembering. The great awakening is a great remembering of what has always been true, because everything else is really just forgetfulness and confusion, which we're looking at.
Yeah.
It's inversions within the consciousness, because it's like as we shift the consciousness, you shift the reality. If we keep thinking the way we always think and perceive the world we always have perceived, nothing changes. But obviously it is right now.
That's right.
Because we're totally, it's like crystal palace activations, like there's a lot going on within our third eyes right now, like in a whole cranium, which are called crystal palace activations. They're also like where the crystal waters are being released, the Amrita, as we know it. So literally the liquid, that's spiritualizing, that's unifying pineal and pituitary gland. And then it's also helping us literally to ascend and to reach the higher levels of consciousness and these feelings of bliss and unity as oxytocin is being released and so forth. So that's all happening right now.
Far out. And
but as we are getting there, all the separation comes up. So you just need to know it for what it is, really.
Yeah. I just want to know on a personal level, like, do you get out much? Are you, I mean, well, a lot of us over the years don't want to go anywhere, and some of us have been pushed back out, and we come back in. But I'm just curious, do you get out much? Or do you spend
It's
most
funny. I was out today, and I was saying I don't really go out, and like it's a place just down the road, and I just was saying I'm here for almost 3 years. For 3 years now. Oh my god, God help me. And
3 years.
It was. I have never been here. I don't go out. No, I don't.
I had a feeling.
Really, because it's nothing. It's just this whole 3D thing doesn't interest me. It's really bad. It's like even when my daughter is here, she's almost 10 years old. It's like, what do you even do? It's like if you don't have a car, and can do some fun stuff out there, it's like, there's just so much. I mean, it's just this whole 3D reality type, this fake reality. There's very little left that really is joyful. Like for me, for many years, really, it's an inner experience. I'm very much an internalized. By nature, I would be more an introvert.
Yeah.
I know I speak now much and I have my moments, but I don't even like speaking ultimately. I'm more like a telepathic person and I find it taxing. So that's why I keep to myself a lot. But I think we've also just been going through that time because I've been speaking today to the person I was meeting and going out with for a cafe, that it's been this process of you have to cut out all the distractions, all these people, thoughts, belief systems influencing you in order to find your true self. So I had to keep my space clear. Plus, you had everybody purging like crazy, and it was literally like trigger country, and I just couldn't take it anymore. Being basically the best people around me would, just kind of gaslight me or start to attack me. And it's just, I spoke about this in my videos. We've just now cleared all the victim programming and all of this persecution programming. So we're fine now. So now we are again okay to come out because it's like we've cleared out all this karmic shit. We've cleared out all of our lessons. You know what I mean? We now have found our true self. So now when we come together with Soul Family, we are no longer going to be like thinking we need to fit in or trying to change ourselves to be light. We're just being our true authentic self when we can come together with other true authentic selves. Big personalities, really big, powerful people coming together to co-create without feeling more or less than any other, total equality. Soul groups now, the tribes are coming back together as fully sovereign within themselves. That's when the magic happens now. But we needed this time to clear out all of the stuff and kind of go within, in the aloneness, you do find the all oneness to transcend all the separation. That is what ultimately has kept us apart. Because if you get, soul, like with twin flames, if you get together highly activated people, your truest soul signature reflected back at you, all kinds of stuff happens.
Your soul signature, your soul signature and your BS.
Yes. Which is
it's the gift. It's the gift.
So.
It's the gift of it all. You mentioned the dissolution of victim consciousness, would that include survival? Do you feel like?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So survival, I believe, really it's because on our own in this fragmented reality, we find ourselves in yuan survival. The only way we can really thrive is we come together in unity. It's the
Yeah.
only way.
Yeah.
You can't, it's the same as nobody can just live on their own. I mean, you can maybe barely survive somewhere in the middle of nowhere on your own, but I mean, what kind of life is this? This is not what we are made for. Again, we are source and we have, imagined ourselves in all these different aspects and unique, versions of self in order to have fun with one another. It's just that we had to go through all of what is not fun
Yeah.
in order to come up with the recipe of how we can be, have fun together and live in harmony and balance and joy whilst being sovereign and not being lost in a oneness in a way.
Yeah. God, what a powerful 90 minutes. Wow.
What a crazy ride everything has been, hasn't it? Because this is completion. I truly feel it in every fiber and particle of my beingness.
That resonates with me. I'm not ready to declare that yet myself, but something.
But it's timeless.
Yeah, coming
It's
out.
already done, you see? That's the thing.
That's true. That's
what
true.
do you think it takes you to get there?
That's true. You're right.
Time?
You're right.
It's a
Touche.
shift in consciousness.
Touche. Yes, touche. You're right. You're absolutely right.
And it has already happened.
That's my takeaway today is how do I remove... I mean, the time thing, it's already happening. Like, I never can even tell you what day it is. I really can't just think of what day it is most of the time. And a lot of times a month. But with having to plan things or set an appointment, I'm going to have to work on that one. But yeah, it was a great 90 minutes. I'd love to get together with you again if you're open to it, in a few weeks and sure. check in with you once we get into March maybe. And
let's hope not, because I don't do March, I don't do time, and I'm activating the organic creatives field. There is no time whatsoever, heaven on earth right now, right here, and so it is done.
I'm going to have to develop a whole new language to talk to you. Yes.
I just keep cutting through it. Every time I get time, I'm just cutting through it.
I will, then we'll be seeing each other again.
One way or another, for definite.
That's right. And it'll
I prefer at a party around a campfire or however that will play out, because I'm ready for the party. I'm ready to dance, and it's all just consciousness. That's all that is. That's all it takes.
That sounds good to me.
And it happens in no time whatsoever.
Yeah, Soulogy
Let's
Fest.
have fun. Let's have a party. Because I can hear the cosmic reunion. I can hear it. I can see it. I can feel it.
Yeah.
It's online. And I know, again, we can feel it, from time to time. And I think the main issue is we've had hope so many times. You
just used time 3 times in 2 sentences.
Time, no time. Quantum. So anyway, it's like it has already happened, and that's what we need to keep merging with that part of us, or that aspect of us that's already there.
Yes.
Coming in right now? Did it come in?
Did you see it? I'm telling I don't know. There's something happening. I'm excited about.
So it is done. There's a lot happening.
I'm excited about it. Yeah, it did. You saw it. I don't know if y'all could see it, but I did. Listen, it was really good seeing you. I'm so glad that we were able to get together, and I was so glad that we were able to connect. Yeah, I'll see you soon. How's that?
See you soon.
Okay.
So much gratitude. Thank you for everything you are now doing, and thank you for having me. I see you real soon.
Thank you.
So much love, so many blessings. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.